Despite COVID-19 cases climbing to levels never seen before, schools in Ontario will reopen next week. On December 30th, Ontario's Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kieran Moore announced that schools would reopen for in-person learning on January 8th, 2 days after initially planned.
I and colleagues from across Ontario have always maintained that schools should be the last to close and the first to open. It is critical to the positive mental health and academic success of our children. I am now able to confirm that students will be returning to school in-person learning on Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. This will provide our schools with extra time to begin to put in place additional health and safety measures, including deploying additional masking options for students and educators and further improving air ventilation in schools.
A letter signed by over 500 Ontario doctors urged the province to reopen schools following the Christmas break, citing mental health concerns. This despite many other Canadian provinces keeping their schools closed for at least an additional week. Dr. Moore said that schools in Ontario are safe and credits rapid tests sent home with school-aged children before the winter break as an added layer of protection. Teachers and licensed childcare staff will be provided non-fitted N95 masks, and extra HEPA filters will be added. A pause is also being put on music classes and high-risk sports.
So we did have preemptively distributed those 11 million tests. So children will be receiving further instruction on how to use those tests prior to the reopening of school. But the Minister of Health, in partnership with this office, had already given direction on testing before the return. So we have that safety buffer to ensure children don't return to school who test positive, and they don't need confirmation once they have a positive RAT. We also have modified and changed our screening tool to ensure that it additionally monitors for symptoms on a daily basis.
All businesses can stay open, but enhanced capacity limits are coming to some indoor settings. All event centers, including arenas, will have their capacity limited to 50% or 1,000 people, whichever is lower. Other indoor settings, such as personal care establishments, gyms, and restaurants, already have a 50% capacity limit. As of Friday, PCR testing, which was already in short supply, will only be provided to high-risk individuals, essential workers, and residents inside long-term care homes and retirement homes. Rapid tests will also be kept for high-risk settings.
Publicly funded PCR testing will only be available for those vulnerable individuals, including those with significant medical issues who are symptomatic or at risk of severe disease from COVID-19, including for the purposes of confirming a COVID diagnosis prior to beginning treatments, and workers, residents, and others in the highest risk settings, such as hospitals, long-term care, retirement homes, and congregate living settings.
Ontario has also followed suit in changing isolation guidelines. The controversial decision will mean fully vaccinated individuals who test positive will only need to isolate for 5 days if they have no symptoms. The unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or immunocompromised will still be required to isolate for 10 days. It comes after Ontario broke a record high for new cases on Thursday when 13,807 infections were reported. That same day, Ottawa reported 683 new cases, according to Ontario Health. Ottawa Public Health reported a higher number of 771 new cases that same day, but in reality, the number is expected to be much higher. Ontario also currently has a test positivity rate of 30.5%, which is also expected to be much higher in reality.
Omicron has presented us with new challenges, and we've had to be flexible and adaptive in the face of this new variant. I'm hopeful that with the effort we are putting in now, 2022 will prove to be a year that we are able to get the better of this virus.
And Quebec has also announced a new round of restrictions which will take effect tomorrow. In that province, all bars and restaurants will be forced to close for indoor dining, and indoor gatherings of any size will not be prohibited. Quebec is also launching another round of controversial curfews which will last from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Anyone who doesn't comply could face a hefty fine. All of this in hopes of slowing the spread of COVID-19 on that side of the river. Charlie Sinach, UIN News, Ottawa.